Have you ever stopped to think about how easily we communicate today? A quick text message can reach someone on the other side of the world in seconds. But what about thousands of years ago? When empires stretched across continents and oceans, how did they maintain control? How did they spread news of victories, warn of invasions, or simply stay connected? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of history's most fascinating yet overlooked innovations, ancient long-distance communication. These ingenious systems weren't just clever, they were the backbone of civilizations that have shaped our world. And trust me, some of these methods were so effective that in certain contexts, they could rival the speed of early telegraph systems thousands of years later. Throughout human history, the ability to communicate quickly over long distances has often meant the difference between the rise or fall of entire kingdoms. The solutions our ancestors devised weren't just practical, they reveal a deep understanding of their environments and remarkable technological creativity. Let's begin with one of the most visually striking systems ever developed, fire signals. From China's Great Wall to the mountain peaks of ancient Greece, fire beacons formed networks that could transmit simple messages hundreds of miles in just hours. The ancient Greeks developed particularly sophisticated systems during the Trojan War. According to Aeschylus's play Agamemnon, news of Troy's fall traveled over 500 miles via fire signals in a single night, a speed that wouldn't be matched again until the 19th century with the telegraph. But the Greeks went even further. In the 4th century BC, they developed the hydraulic telegraph, water clocks with identical sets of messages. When a torch was raised at one station, the sender and receiver would simultaneously open valves on their water clocks, draining until the water level pointed to the intended message. This allowed for more complex communication than simple danger or victory signals. The Romans, with their vast empire spanning 3 continents, perfected these systems further. Their signal towers, or steculi, formed chains across strategic routes, using smoke by day and fire by night. But they also maintained what might be history's most impressive messenger system, the cursus publicus. This imperial postal service featured relay stations approximately 25 miles apart, the distance a horse could gallop before exhaustion. Fresh horses and riders waited at each station, creating a system that could move messages at speeds of 50 to 100 miles per day. Emperor Augustus formalized this network, and at its height, urgent military messages could travel up to 170 miles in a single day, an astonishing feat in the ancient world. If you're finding this exploration into ancient innovation fascinating, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on. We dive into these overlooked aspects of history every week, revealing how much of our modern thinking was actually pioneered thousands of years ago. We've got upcoming videos on ancient surgical techniques and forgotten astronomical discoveries that will completely change how you view the past. Hit subscribe now so you don't miss them. Now, let's move to a completely different part of the world and examine perhaps the most sophisticated pre-modern communication system ever devised. The Inca Empire, spanning the length of western South America, created an elaborate network called the Chasga system. These relay runners covered nearly 25,000 miles of mountain roads, with trained messengers stationed every few miles in small huts. When a Chaka approached, the next runner would watch his hand signals to prepare the appropriate response before even receiving the message. This created a nearly continuous flow of information across impossible terrain. What's truly remarkable is the speed. In the 16th century, messages could travel from Quito to Cusco, a distance of nearly 1,250 miles, in just 5 days. That's approximately 250 miles per day through the Andes Mountains. Compare this to the early American Pony Express of the 1860s, which averaged about 10 miles per hour. The Chasquis weren't just fast, they carried quipuers, complex knotted string devices that could record numerical data and possibly narrative information, allowing for sophisticated record-keeping across vast distances. Meanwhile, in Africa, drum communication developed into perhaps the world's most sophisticated acoustic telecommunication system. Far from the simple warning signals portrayed in popular culture, these drums, particularly talking drums, functioned as a tonal language proxy. In regions like present-day Nigeria and Ghana, drummers could mimic the pitch patterns of their tonal languages, effectively speaking messages across landscapes where dense forests made visual signals impractical. What's particularly fascinating is the bandwidth of the system. These weren't simplistic distress signals, but could communicate complex, nuanced messages. Colonial European visitors often reported with astonishment how news traveled along drum networks faster than their own messengers could travel. A skilled drummer could transmit information up to 100 miles in an hour as the message was relayed from village to village, including details about the number of troops, types of weapons, or specific instructions for resistance. But perhaps the most visually spectacular communication system belonged to ancient China. Beyond fire beacons along the Great Wall, the Chinese developed sophisticated smoke signal technologies using different colored smokes produced from various materials. By the Han Dynasty, 206 BC, 220 C, military outposts had standardized combinations of short and long smoke columns that functioned similarly to Morse code, allowing for more detailed tactical communication. What truly set Imperial Chinese communication apart, however, was the integration of multiple systems. The empire maintained an elaborate network of post houses with horses, carriages, boats where necessary, and professional couriers. This system became so critical to governance that by the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, imperial roads featured permanent courier stations every 10 miles, complete with accommodation, fresh horses, and even restaurants for official messengers. During the Mongol Empire, Genghis Khan perfected the system into what became known as the Yam, a network so efficient that Marco Polo wrote about it with astonishment. At its peak, a message could travel from Mongolia to Central Europe in just weeks, an incredible feat considering the vast distances and challenging terrain. What's perhaps most intriguing about these ancient systems isn't just their technical sophistication, but how they shaped governance itself. Empires could only grow as large as their communication systems allowed. The Persian king Darius I understood this when he built the royal road from Susa to Sardis in the 5th century BCE, complete with 111 postal stations spanning 1,600 miles. Herodotus famously wrote of the Persian messengers, "Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds," words later adopted by the U.S. Postal Service. The relationship between communication speed and imperial control was so critical that many rulers protected these systems at all costs. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed, one of the first systems to deteriorate was the cursus publicus, effectively ending centralized control. Conversely, the Byzantine Empire maintained their version, the dramos, which helped them survive for nearly 1,000 years after Rome's fall. What's remarkable is how these ancient civilizations maximized the potential of their technologies within physical constraints. Without electricity or electromagnetic waves, they pushed human, animal, and signal capabilities to their absolute limits. The Mongol Empire's message system could cover 250 miles per day in the 13th century, a speed not significantly improved upon until the telegraph in the 19th century. So, what does this tell us about ourselves and our own relationship with communication? Perhaps that our current obsession with instant global communication isn't new at all. It's a fundamental human drive that has shaped our societies for millennia. The difference isn't in our desire for connection, but merely in the tools available to satisfy it. Before we wrap up, I'd like to thank you for staying with me through this journey across time and continents. If you found value in this exploration, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. The support really helps the channel continue producing this kind of in-depth historical content. I'm curious, which of these ancient communication methods surprised you the most? Or is there another historical communication system you've heard about that deserves attention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all and often find inspiration for future videos there. And don't forget to check the description for ways to support the channel and for recommended resources if you want to dive deeper into this fascinating subject. Until next time, Remember that innovation isn't unique to our era. Our ancestors were solving complex problems with elegant solutions long before digital technology came along. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.